Brianna today is not the Brianna that was existent when she transitioned 3 years ago, and she is definitely not the person that she originated from for the previous 57 years. When I came to India, I had no aspirations of the opportunity to travel, because India is the one most important part of the world. My interest in its spirituality and the culture and the people and the food, the clothing, the music, everything fascinates me. I've met people in these fields before, and I don't know many humans that could do what he does. He has a confidence and an extremely broad knowledge.
Hello and welcome to Trans Talks with Ganga, and here we have with us Brianna from New Zealand, and she had a lovely time at Olmec, and it's been almost a month that we have her here. And hi Brianna, how are you?
Hello Satek, I'm well, thank you.
That's good. So how has the journey been, like from coming to New Zealand to India? How was it?
It's been a very enlightening and roller coaster experience. Planning to get here was 6 months of all sorts of different experiences, just getting through the administrational stuff. Getting on the plane, going through customs was a challenge for me because I'm not a confident traveller. Getting off the plane and meeting Mr. Gower, the driver, who spoke no English, was a really interesting time. Sitting in the car watching Delhi go by, getting to this clinic, was an enthralling experience amidst me trying to get the local provider to get my roaming going. It's funny how you get focused on things. Arriving at the clinic was a wonderful experience with the staff standing there to greet me, and the flowers that they presented and greeted by all was a very moving experience. And then after a short period of time in a travel in a lift, I was deposited in this clinical hospital room and left to my own devices, which was interesting. So that was the introduction to my travel.
If the audience wants to know, who is Brianna from New Zealand, and
Who
what
is
has
Brianna
changed?
today?
Yeah,
That's a good question.
who's Brianna today?
Brianna today is not the Brianna that was existent when she transitioned 3 years ago, and she is definitely not the person that she originated from for the previous 57 years. Brianna is an evolving being who lives in the moment. She tries to live in the flow of whatever is going on around her, not always successfully. She is vibrant and funny, poetic, and serious. And don't ever get on the wrong side of it.
That's nice. That's a nice thing to have.
I'm defensive of my friends, loyal. I don't betray people. I'm as honest as the day is long. And I love my life.
That's a nice thing to do. And so you told that you love your life. What, according to you, is the life now after your transition?
For the prior 57 years, I had very few friends. I didn't know how to have friends. And in the course of the 3 years over which my transition has taken to this point, I have been changed. And in that change has come a myriad of people who have helped me along my way and become friends, dear friends, at varying levels, but they've all got a very special place in my life. Brianna is somebody who cherishes the fact that whatever changed the day she gave herself permission to become her, opened up a world that she didn't know existed.
So you talked about Rishikesh. Well, our viewers don't know that you went to Rishikesh. So you went to India, you came to Olmec, and you are in Rishikesh. And please tell everybody how was that experience. And
Okay.
yeah,
One of the remarkable things that people don't consider when they travel to another country, to live for 45 days in the company of people that speak a completely different language that you don't understand, is that you can become very isolated very easily without realizing it. When I came to India, I had no aspirations of the opportunity to travel. And as a consequence of that, it was a great disappointment to me, because India is the one most important part of the world that I most dearly wanted to travel around, because of my interest in its spirituality and the culture and the people and the food, the clothing, the music, everything fascinates me. And then I discovered that I was going to be given an opportunity perhaps to go and see the Taj Mahal, which I thought was a wonderful option. And that then evolved into a trip to Rishikesh, which was like, oh my God, that is one of the havens of which I could travel to be in the banks of the Ganga River and just soak up the environment. I don't know how that came to be, but that seems to have been the modus operandi of my existence since I transitioned. Everything seems to be coming one piece after the other, each one of them very welcome. So I ended up in a van with your good self, with Nancy and another nurse, and the driver, Mr. Gower, and our other colleague, Harmeet. And that was 5.5 hours of Indian music and loud Hindi conversation, and one stop in a dabba for a meal and a bathroom break. And then we arrived in Rishikesh, and my first thoughts were, oh my God, I'm going to be able to dress up in my sari, have a princess moment, enjoy that, and then go down to the Aarti and enjoy the celebration.
Could you please also tell the audience about your experience at Trivedi Ghat, the Aarti that happened there at
Sure.
the Ganga Bank?
The trip was eventful.
Yeah.
We were deposited approximately, I suppose, 100 yards, maybe a bit more, from the steps down to the Ghat. I had no idea, apart from documentaries that I'd watched, what I was truly going to witness when I walked down those stairs. But I can remember a sense of excitement and awe. So we loped along and trailed down the steps, and I saw these austere religious gentlemen standing in lines with flaming baskets, raising and lowering them, and I could hear this chanting. It was an encapsulating and vibrantly capturing experience. You couldn't really disconnect yourself from the environment, even if you tried. It was just so overwhelming. The sheer weight of people, the sound of the chanting, and then I happened to look up in the sky, and being a particularly strong follower of our goddess, the Luna, I saw a sickle moon, and in my belief, that is a very auspicious thing to witness. I knew all of my dreams had come true at once. The sights, the smells, the vibration, and I mean the physical vibration as well as the spiritual vibration of the place, just amazed me. It was quite overwhelming, and I can remember jumping up and down like a 10-year-old girl in great delight. I looked at the video of that afterwards. I was a little embarrassed of the fact that I was just so overwhelmed and so engaged in that experience. I wish we'd had more time. I'd like to have investigated the place in the daytime as well, just to get a feel for it. But you could see the magic that the Ganga affects on people. It was tangible. And even people that had travelled there that weren't associated with India directly, they were tourists or whatever, were in a state of ethereal madness. So my experience in the Aarti was overwhelmingly wonderful.
That's great. So, Brianna, tell us about when did you thought that, okay, I'm having these feelings and now is the time to get this transition done, and when was the time that you realized that yes, there's something strange and I do need to accept it, and I do need to uh, discuss it with someone, or probably start your transition journey?
My recognition of who I was truthfully was in probably about 1979, 1969, 1970.
Mhm.
And in those days,
Mhm.
in those days there was no pathway. So it just got shoveled into a box and left there. When my marriage, I'm a very loyal person, as I said, and I don't step away from responsibility or betray people without very deep cause. When my marriage broke up for unfortunate reasons, I was left with a question: what do I do with my life?
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing was, I didn't really know, but I was sitting on the end of my bed and I looked at the wall of all things and I said to myself, I know exactly what I want to do. I give myself permission to be what I've always wanted to be, what I've dreamed about being, but I've always suppressed from being. And that was the transient moment. That was the beginning of my transition. It was giving myself heartfelt permission to be my true self, my authentic person. My transition has been an amazing journey to this point.
That's great. And we are glad we could be a part of it. And we are glad that you gave us an opportunity to be a part of that beautiful transition journey. So
Thank
thank
you.
you so much. Thank you so much from all of Olmec. And okay, so tell me, Brianna, because obviously these transitions are not so easy. Like the surgeries are difficult,
Yeah.
researching about all this stuff, giving so much time, and fighting the society as well. If I talk about that, so all of it is like it takes a lot in your brain, right? All this goes in your brain, and you're concentrating on that particular thing. And what would you like to say to all the viewers, that what was that one thing that motivated you, or if there's someone who motivated you to, or was it yourself, or was it yourself that kept you motivated, that no, I need to get through it, I need to go through this transition and achieve what I really want to achieve?
In answer to that question, the simple issue is, if you know who you are, if you accept who you are, everything that you need to do just becomes necessary, and it happens. No one motivated me into this transition apart from myself and, in my spiritual experience, the Creator.
So, Brianna, could you please briefly tell the audience about the when I talk about your transition, obviously we can't miss out Olmec.
No.
Obviously we can't.
No.
And when I talk about Olmec, I would like to know, like, how has the journey been at Olmec? How what would you like to say to the people at Olmec, to the staff, to Dr. Kaushik, to Dr. Sunanda Kaushik? What would you like to say to them?
Well, that's a cue. I wrote a poem one night sitting in my room. I've actually written two. And one of them summarizes that very succinctly. What would I like to say to them all? I was given the advice early in my stay, in recognition of the distance I'd travelled, which was something in the vicinity of probably 16 or 17,000 kilometres to get here. That they recognised how far away I was from my friends and my family, and to treat the Olmec staff, all of them, as my family. An interesting thing when you don't speak the language, an interesting thing when it's a completely different culture, and it's a great journey in courage and trust. Took me a little while to get over that hurdle, or to understand it, and then I started to embrace the individual natures of the people I was dealing with. And I discovered they weren't just nurses, they weren't just doctors, they weren't just aunties and uncles doing various forms of orderly work. They were real human beings with lives and families. And as a consequence of that, I actually started to become engaged with these people in conversation in ways that made me feel at home. And that effort was so worthwhile. The advice was worthy, because all of a sudden I started to realize that I did actually have a family here.
That's nice.
And that gave me a very familial approach to the people I was engaging with every day.
That's great. What would you like to say to Dr. Kaushik and Dr. Sunanda Kaushik?
The first thing I'll say is behind every brilliant surgeon, there is usually a very hardworking and very dedicated woman. And in this particular case, that's Dr. Sunanda. I've met people in this field, in these fields before, and I don't know many humans that could do what he does. He has a confidence and an extremely broad knowledge and a very deep, finite knowledge about every subject as well. So infinite knowledge, rather, of every subject as well. So well-versed man. I couldn't put my trust in anybody else the way I had to put my trust in him. I wouldn't have travelled this far to do it if I hadn't known his reputation. An enthusiastic and very amenable man. A dedicated, hard-working man, over the top in some cases, I think. And somebody who, even though he's incredibly busy and will float in and float out, if you actually say, hey, stop and listen to me for a minute, he takes the time and he will talk with you. And from that perspective, he has my deep respect.
That's good.
Dr. Sunanda, first of all, incredibly elegant, love her sari collection. Very, very capable in her own medical experiences. A quiet, self-assured, confident, and very warm-hearted person. Probably rules with an iron fist, I would think, but a very gentle hand. And somebody I would like to perpetuate the connection with over the years, because these are people that I can and have built deep respect for.
That's good. So, Brianna, to sum it all up, like the whole transition, the whole journey at Olmec, you had a poem, right?
I did.
You prepared a poem for us.
I do.
So, would you like to recite it for
Yes,
us?
please. Precursor to the poem, when you travel this far and you're placed in a strange environment, you are very vulnerable. I'm lost between two worlds, this one that forms moment by moment around me, and the one that lingers in memory and is revitalized with each phone call and each message home. I am not torn between these worlds because they are connected in intricate ways that I cannot understand. Yet I'm lost because my heart is confused by those whom I love back home and those I am learning to love here. Immersion is a powerful teacher and a massive changer of life. To live is to breathe the air where you are, to eat the food, to love the people around you, and to share their lives and they share yours. Have I done this? I hope so. What they have shared with me and how connected I feel to them and their families says so. A very privileged place to occupy, and one to be cherished so very much. It all comes down to trust, and trust is founded on open hearts and love, and that is what I have discovered. And the second poem I wrote is called My Olmec Family. And it also precursors in the same way the vulnerability you have when you sit in a room on your own. So this is called My Olmec Family. There were spaces in my heart I could not fill, sitting here anew in this clinical world, not with people, nor words, nor memories. And they said, this is your family now. This is your home. I took a leap of faith and great courage to let the people in. Once the doors were opened, it seemed the space would fill before the flood of kindness and love I received from so many would finally be still. I sit here now attempting to contain my tears, no kidding, of joy. Tears that flow in gratitude for the gift of what I have achieved, what I have received, and what I now know. That the offering of trust brings the gift of people and their hearts of family made new. This is a gift so rich and rare, and it is a gift of all of you, my Olmec family.
So, well, that was heartwarming. Thank you so much for all the kind words, Brianna, and it was lovely having you here. And we wish you all the best
Thank
for
you.
your journey ahead. And with heavy hearts, we'll say goodbye, but uh, with the hope that you return and meet us all at Olmec, because it was lovely having you here. Thank you so much, Brianna.
Thank you. I've made a
Thank you.
promise to myself and to many people in this organisation that because I have a deep love of India and I've now got a deep love for some of the people that I have met, that I will return.
Thank
and it
you.
will be a great pleasure to come and say hello again.
Dhanyawad.
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 So today we had Brianna with us, and she is a special guest, and she will always be welcomed at Olmec. So thank you so much for tuning in. And if you have any questions for our guest that would be coming to Olmec, do drop in. Thank you so much.